Hey, good morning, Choice Residential. Hope your day is off to a great start. So today I'm going to help you fill out the professional services disclosure as efficiently as possible in .loop. So what I have opened up here is a test dummy loop here. This is what your buyer loop template will look like when you first open it up. You'll see there's a blank copy of the professional services disclosure. Now I've gone ahead and added 2 buyers into the transaction here and assigned the role of buyer to each of them. So when you click on the professional services disclosure, it's going to ask you if you want to autofill. So of course, this is a great feature in .loop for most forms because it saves you some time. So we're going to go ahead and click autofill. But I want you to see what happens. So it's going to place any information you have in the loop, the address, our firm name, and the clients, the buyers here. But then it automatically places the buyer initials all the way in every line item in the waived category. So that would mean you would manually need to go in here and change these to get them into the right place. By the way, you see how these little tabs say buyer? So if you were to send this document, share it with your clients as it is, then it's going to tell, when Brian gets the email, it's going to tell him to click right here. But it's also going to give him the option to click both of these because it says buyer. And so that means that any buyer in the loop can actually click there and initial it, which means Brian, in theory, could initial not only all of these where I've told him to, but he could also initial all of these, making it very confusing when he receives this document, and it gives him the opportunity to initial places that he shouldn't, and also then potentially not allow Stacy to sign where she needs to. So here's what I want you to do when you first open up this form. After you've clicked autofill, you can actually select multiple boxes here, and you can do it 2 ways. One, you can click on one that you want, hold the shift button on your computer, and then you can start clicking other boxes. Go with the shift when you're done, and then you can do whatever you want to do, which would, in this case, would be assign it to someone different. What we're going to do, though, is you can actually click and then drag your mouse and select all of the boxes. Now I missed some, so I'm going to hold shift and then drag, and now I've got all the boxes selected. And then I'm going to come up here to this drop down, and I'm going to assign them to no one. And you'll see what happens when I do that. It changes all of these boxes, and it now just says initial. And so that means if you were to send this form out like this, it would not allow your buyer to do anything. It's not going to tell them to initial anywhere. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out all the places that my client is going to waive their option to have something done, right? So they're waiving. Brian is not going to have not going to take a recommendation for a CPA. I'm not doing anything with the appraisal, so they're going to waive that. That's through their attorney. They are going to use the attorney that I recommend. They do want a home warranty. They do want a home inspection. They want the HVAC inspection. They don't want a radon test. You get the idea. You go ahead and hold the select button on your computer, the shift button on your computer, and you pick all the places that you're going to have Brian initial, whether he's selecting or waiving. And then you've got all these boxes that are now highlighted in green, and I'm going to go up here to the drop down, and I'm going to select Brian. And it now places his initials everywhere I wanted. More importantly, you don't see any of those generic buyer boxes, which can be confusing for your client. So then you're going to do the same thing for Stacy. I'm going to click that, then hold the shift button, her initial in all the same places that I'm having Brian initial. You get the idea. You come up here, drop down, and select Stacy's name. And now it has the initials in all the places that you want them, and none of those generic buyer boxes being sent to your client, because you don't want it to be confusing when they receive this in their email. So this is a nice streamlined way for you to send this form out. You can see it's got the signatures down here, placed where it's supposed to be. These initials are correct. You just need to get these where you want them. So hopefully this helps you fill out this form in a more efficient way and make it less confusing for your client. I always recommend that if you aren't familiar with what it looks like for your client, then set yourself up as a buyer and share this document with yourself so that you can see what their experience is going to be like. But hopefully this saves you some time, some headache, and some frustration. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm always happy to help. Until next time, guys, take care.